apartment with a potion in his hand, composed of opium, black hellebore, aconite, and other ingredients still more baneful. While this mercenary officer of the king's vengeance was thus employed, another, as inhuman as himself, went to your lodgings with the silken cord. Both, however, were disappointed, as both of us were fled. Cador, very officious, flew to the king, in order the more artfully to blind him, and in a feigned passion railed at us both, and charged us both as perfidious traitors. And for that villain Zadig, said he has taken his flight towards India. And your false ungrateful consort, sire, said he, is fled to Memphis. The guards were ordered that moment to pursue us both. The couriers who flew after me knew nothing of me. I had never exposed my face unveiled to any one but yourself, and that too in the presence and by the express order of my royal master. As they had no other marks to distinguish me from others but my stature as it had been described, a young lady just of my size, but in all probability much more handsome, presented herself to their view on the frontiers of Egypt. She was found alone and in a very disconsolate condition. This lady must doubtless, said they to themselves, be the Queen of Babylon, and without listening to her complaints, conveyed her instantly to my husband Moabdar. Their gross blunder at first incensed his Majesty to the last degree, but after he had viewed the lady with an attentive eye, he found she was extremely pretty, and was soon pacified. Her name was Missouf. I have been since informed that her name in the Egyptian language signifies the fair coquette, and in effect she was so. She had as much art, however, as caprice, for she pleased the King of Kings. In short, she had such an ascendancy over him that he didn't scruple in public to own her as his wife. When she had secured him thus far in her toils, she never concealed her power, but played the part of a perfect humorist. She indulged herself in every whim that came into her head, without fear of being browbeat. In the first place, she insisted that the chief Magus, who was old and gouty, should dance a saraband before her, and upon his modest refusal to comply with so preposterous a request, she persecuted him without mercy. Nothing would serve her turn, in the next place, but his Majesty's Grand Master of the Horse must make her a minced pie. The gentleman took the liberty to let her know that he was no professed cook. A tart, however, he must make for her, and she got him turned out of his place for being so monstrously careless as to burn one corner of the crust. Whereupon she gave his post to her favourite dwarf, and made her fop of a page the keeper of his Majesty's great seal and confidence. Thus she reigned arbitrary, and was the female tyrant of Babylon. All the world deplored the loss of me, their former queen. The king, who never acted the part of a tyrant, till the moment he would have imprisoned me and strangled you, seemed to have drowned all his good qualities in his dotage on that capricious enchantress. He came to the temple on the solemn festival of the sacred fire. I saw him prostrate on the pavement before the statue wherein I was enclosed, imploring the gods to shower down their choicest blessings on his beauteous Missouf. I, with an audible and distinct but hollow tone, addressed myself thus, like an oracle, to the King of Kings. The Gods reject the vows of a monarch that acts the tyrant o'er his subjects, one who could think of murdering an innocent wife, and admit of a worthless beauty to supply her place. Moabdar was so startled at this unexpected answer from the god he adored, that he was just at the point of distraction. The oracle that I had delivered, and the tyrannical proceedings of his new spouse Missouf, were enough to deprive him of his senses. In short, in a few days he became a perfect madman. Her caprice, which seemed a judgment from above, portended a sudden revolution. His subjects accordingly revolted, and were instantly up in arms. Babylon, that had so long indulged herself in indolence and ease, became the seat or theatre of a bloody civil war. Whereupon I was taken from my magnificent prison, the bowels of his god, and set up at the head of a very powerful party. Your friend Cador flew to Memphis, in hopes to find you there, and bring you back to Babylon. The Prince of Hyrcania, hearing of these intestine broils, returned with a powerful army, in order to form a third party among the Babylonians. He attacked the king, who fled with his fair but fickle Egyptian before him. Moabdar, however, was so closely pursued that he died of the wounds he received in his retreat. Missouf became the fair victim of the conqueror. As for my own part, I had the misfortune to be overpowered likewise, and taken prisoner by an Hyrcanian party, who brought me into the presence of the young prince, at the very juncture when Missouf stood before him. You'll smile, doubtless, when I tell you, the prince looked upon me as the most amiable captive of the two. But then, I presume you will be sorry to hear, that my hard fate doomed me to be a vassal in his seraglio. He told me, in direct terms, that as soon as he had put a happy issue to one military expedition, which would not, he flattered himself, be long unexecuted, he would honour me with a visit. Judge the dreadful apprehensions I was under, upon his making such a peremptory declaration. My obligations to Moabdar were all cancelled, and I was free to be the bride of Zadig, but instead of that, I fell into the toils of a barbarian. I answered him with all the resentment becoming one of my high character and unspotted virtue. I had always heard say, that Heaven bestowed on persons of my rank such a peculiar mark of majesty and grandeur, that with a bare word, or the glance of an angry eye, they could bring down and abase the pride of those audacious creatures that durst to thwart their inclinations. I talked as big as a queen, but I was treated like the most servile domestic. The saucy Hyrcanian, without so much as vouchsafing me one single word, turned to his black eunuch, and told him that I was very impertinent. But yet he could not help thinking I was very pretty. He gave him therefore particular orders to take care of me, and put me under the same regimen with respect to my diet as one of his favourites, in order that I might recover my colour, which was somewhat too languid. In a word, that I might become worthy in a little time of his royal favours, and be duly qualified to receive him, when he should honour me so far as to fix the day. I told him I would die first. He replied with a Sneer, that young Ladies like me seldom